What? All right, so we're recording today. I'm Bruce Firestone. This is my spouse, Dawn Firestone, and we're here today with Stephen and Desta to talk about property at 249 253 Front Street, and this is the property here. It's a three-story building. It's the old China Gate restaurant. Stephen or Desta, do you know when was the last time that the China Gate restaurant was actually open?
No.
I don't know.
What was it? 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Okay. So anyway, so this is the building we've been looking at, and Stephen asked just before we started recording whether this parking lot was part of it. It is not. It belongs to the other building. So it really is about an 11,000 square foot building on about a 10,500 square foot site. And what we're trying to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about what our plans are. We'd like some feedback from you, Desta, and also Stephen. I'll just make these slides a little bigger. Can you see that okay, guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what we're involved with, Dawn and I, is something we call Main Street Makeovers, and so this is a model that we've been using, and clients of mine also have been using, and I'll talk a little bit about it, and then I hope to get some feedback from you. And as I said, I'll give you a link to this this recording, and if you want to share it with other people. We would like to brief, our local counselor as well, because, at least in my experience, local counselors and the mayor don't like being surprised. They like to hear about projects before they become part of the public record. So we would want some advice from you on that as well. So we're talking about Main Street Makeovers. This is me, obviously, at the top, Bruce Firestone. I do have a civil engineering degree and a master's of engineering science and a PhD, and I do some real estate investment and business coaching. I'm also a real estate broker, and I'm the founder of the Ottawa Senators. And you guys have our AHL affiliate in Belleville, the Baby Senators. Mm-hmm. And then this is Dawn. I'll let Dawn introduce herself.
Yeah, my name's Dawn Firestone. At present, I'm a coach, and I guess that's mostly what I do for a living. I have experience in research science, in public relations, in nonprofit management, and I'm very interested in renovations and creative projects such as this.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about here is an historic renovation rather than a tear down and a rebuild. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Dawn and I, last year we took our oldest daughter and her fiance to Picton to celebrate their engagement, and we kind of fell in love with your area. I mean, I don't have to tell you about Belleville, you know it better than we do, but it's a fabulous town, and everybody we meet in Belleville is nice. I don't know, maybe not everyone is nice, but at least all the people we met as we toured around, as we got to know the area a bit better. And we ran into Zubin Gillespie, who's you probably know him. He's been developing rehabbing buildings on Front Street, I think, for 11 years. Are you guys familiar with the work that Zubin is doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And we understand, at least this is what we've been told, is that your council and your planners and, of course, the engineering department are very focused on making the downtown of Belleville, an historic downtown. You're trying to breathe life into it. Am I right about that?
Yep.
Okay. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what's happening with the Memorial Arena. I know it's been sold, but don't know too much more about what's going to happen there.
Okay, so there was there's a competition, I guess, of people pitching ideas for Memorial Arena. And so Task Force Engineering, I believe it was the firm that the city agreed to work with. They're doing their due diligence. Obviously with COVID-19, their due diligence, they asked for an extension of time. So that's kind of where it is right now. I'm not 100% sure if that's still online, their proposal, because we just created a new website. or we just launched a new website, so their original presentation might not be accessible. But task force engineering, I know you're looking at Picton there. I know they've done a lot of work in the Belleville area as well as Prince Edward County, including the liquor store down in Picton. So they're looking at developing it as sort of a, I don't want to use the word mall because that sort of has negative connotations, but as an area where there's a lot of shops and vendors and maybe some key sort of tenants, whether that be sort of a brewery type place and or food operations. And they're doing that on the first and second floor. And then they're looking at the Legion, which is attached. They're looking at converting into affordable seniors units.
Okay, and there's some other projects I think that are coming out of the ground. Dawn, you sent me a couple. Do you remember what they were?
Well, one was the Pinnacle, and then there was a retirement condominium, I think, that was supposed to be opening this fall that was closer to the waterfront.
Oh, the Arabella, that's across the river. So that's 24 Dundas, I believe you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've just started construction, or at least the foundation, on a building beside that. That's going to be a ground floor commercial and apartments above that. So that's what we call the courthouse district. The one on Pinnacle, they have paid their building permit fee, but I guess they're just waiting for the right time to build the condo. Pinnacle, yeah, which is kind of up on Pinnacle and Bridge, I believe, is one you're talking about.
So this is all pretty exciting for Belleville, really. There's so much going on.
Yeah, it's a good diversity of good projects kind of coming forward, definitely, yeah. Actually, I don't know if it's online, but there is still, because of our new website, but there was a presentation from our housing summit we had for the mayor's housing summit, and it shows some pictures, I guess, of different projects that are being built or in the process of being built. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff going on. That's, and of course we have your traditional subdivision development and stuff as well. But yeah, no, there's some interesting stuff going on aside from that stuff.
Okay. So some of the trends that this model that Dawn and I are involved with, is based on is that I'm sure you've noticed that there's significant emigration from major cities to smaller towns. And as we walked around and got to know Belleville a little bit better, we met quite a few people who were from Toronto. So it does seem like Belleville is going through a growth spurt. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we keep busy here. Yeah, definitely keep busy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's keep going then. So just to give you a little bit of background, this model is being used. It's something that I've been working on now for a few years, Main Street Makeovers. And, myself and the group that we're involved with, we've been doing projects in small towns. I don't know if you know Chesterville in Eastern Ontario or Prescott on the river there, but quite a few of these buildings on Main Streets are being rehabilitated, and I've got clients working actively on Main Street makeovers in Belleville, obviously, but Sarnia, Moncton, Calabogie Peaks, Carleton Place, Rockland, Renfrew, and Penticton, BC, just to name a few. So it's a pretty interesting model, I think. This is a picture of me. We were going into the building, and the building does require hard hats and safety glasses and masks and work boots. So have any of your staff been inside this building?
No, we wouldn't send planners into.
I wouldn't think so.
Private property. No.
But maybe some engineers have gone in, and it's in pretty rough shape.
Perhaps a building inspector may have.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, there is a work order that Dawn mentioned for for the basement. Apparently, I think there might have been a sprinkler system in the basement, but certainly there's no water, there's no power. There's a lot of work that has to be done. There's some structural work that has to be done as well. The concept here, Desta, is to take off this kind of ugly facade here, and also this brick veneer that they put on here, and we're hoping to uncover that the building is an old, classic brick look to it, and we're going to rehab that brick if we can.
Okay.
And so this is the area where we wanted some definite input from you. And if you're not able to give us that input today, then perhaps you once you've had a chance to think about it, you'll be able to give us some feedback. So we think the highest and best use for this building is, I'll start on the third floor. When we went through the building, when we did our building inspection, we found that on the third floor here, there are 6 existing micro suites, or very small apartments already there. And so they have sinks and kitchens and all these things. And micro suites are a pretty hot product these days, especially during the pandemic or even before the pandemic, because, I guess, being a roommate, if you are renting a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment and you have roommates, roommates always seem to fight, who drank the last beer, who ate the last pizza, whose turn is it to clean the bathroom. So micro suites are little studio apartments, which are quite small, I think probably 350 to 400 square feet each. So not very big, maybe 450 square feet. That is a very hot product. And now during COVID-19, it's your own space, right? So you have your own little tiny apartment. So there are 6 existing, I think it's 6 existing micro suites there. And we would obviously want to rehab those if that was something that was consistent with how the planners feel about it in Belleville. So I think that would be a good use for the third floor. The second floor, I think, is an old bank and an old dentist office. That would be a total renovation. And I think the highest and best use for that would be 3 apartments of about 900 square feet each. Maybe not quite that big, but 1 or 2 bedroom, probably 2-bedroom apartments, that'd be quite nice. So maybe 3 apartments on the second floor. And then the ground floor, this is something that you have to think about and give us feedback on. There isn't as much demand for retail space as perhaps there was before Amazon and Walmart and others sort of rose to prominence. And so what we're thinking for the ground floor is maybe professional space. And that's something we did talk to one of your planners, I think it was Andrew Chan, and we talked to him about that. And we wanted to get your feedback on that as well. So that the idea of having, like a dress shop there or a shoe store or hardware store is probably not going to work, at least from a point of view of the market. And we think maybe some professional space. So it could be, a law office, it could be a physiotherapy practice, it could be a medical clinic, it could be a dental office. Something like that is more likely than, like I said, a dress shop or shoe store.
Can I just ask a question?
Of course.
Yeah.
Since you currently live in Belleville and obviously work for the city, what do you think the main street needs?
I mean, I think the best, if you talk to Mary Jo at the BIA, she could probably give you some good insight, because she's always, she's probably more involved in the day-to-day sort of heartbeat sort of thing of things, and she'll be excited. So I would definitely talk to her.
Do you have her contact information?
BIA, Mary Jo.
Okay, we can find it, Belleville BIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other aspect that might be a little bit controversial, I hope it isn't, but it could be, it is that the other thing that we're seeing on main streets in all these different cities and towns where we're working, is demand to live and work at grade. We did mention this to Andrew, and he didn't say, no, this is absolutely forbidden, but he did mention some things about parking requirements. And so for example, you might get somebody who wants to run a hairdressing salon and a spa and live sort of behind the shop, you know, the way that my grandfather used to do. He was a barber a long time ago now, and he lived, you know, and worked in the same spot. So we're not sure what the demand will be. It could be something like a medical clinic or a dental clinic or some other things. Perhaps Mary Jo will have some ideas of her own. But it could be a live-work situation as well at grade. So that's something that is at least a possibility, and we'd like to explore that with the city.
Okay.
And the other, sorry.
No, okay.
Okay.
I'll,
Go ahead,
I'm just
Stephen.
writing stuff down.
No, you keep going.
I'm just verifying, yeah, so live work is an option with living behind, yeah. Okay, no, keep going.
All right, thank you. And then this little banquet hall, which you can see on the screen here, which is this weird thing that sticks out. The other thing that I think might be done with that is the other thing that we're seeing a lot of demand for is, you know, maker spaces. That's kind of a, you know, the millennial term for what they're talking about. You know, people who make all kinds of cool stuff. You know, one maker space that was rented in Kitchener recently by one of my clients went to, you know, a young woman who makes clothes. And so there is the possibility of having something like that back here, which would be quite different, I think. But, you know, it could be somebody who's doing, you know, clothing, or it could be somebody, an artist or something like that. So that's another possible use for that banquet hall, if in fact it doesn't get torn down. And the other thing we wanted to explore with the city is the possibility of whether it's a hairdressing salon or a little cafe here, of having a patio. And I know there's some patios along Front Street, and I think that's a real, not just because of COVID-19, but I think that's a really important part of bringing the street back to life and bringing this building back to life too. So we're really interested in hearing from the city about, you know, what can be done, if anything, in terms of patio. I just put on the screen here for you, Desta and Stephen, you know, what does a modern micro suite look like? It looks kind of like this, where you have, you know, it's your own little studio apartment. You have obviously a sleeping area, you have a bathroom, you have a very small kitchen, but it works. You have a little
Bachelor, they used to call them bachelor apartments, didn't they?
yeah, bachelor apartments, or do they ever call them bachelorettes or something like that too? I think they did, but today the modern term is you know, micro suite or studio apartment. You know, terminology does change over the years. So I think it could be a very attractive product, and that was, as I said, for the third floor.
Okay.
And one of the things that I also, did I lose you guys? I think I lost them, Don. Just have to wait for them to come back. Are you a little stiff from all the gardening, honey?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I better pause the recording, otherwise, you know, let me pause it while we're waiting for them to find us.
Close to both phones, so.
All right.
We're good.
Can you still see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things we wanted to explore with the city was the possibility of putting a patio out in front of this building. And one of the things that the city of Ottawa is experimenting with, in part because of COVID-19, but in part as an ongoing change to the official plan, and the city of Edmonton as well, is turning patios, even in cold weather cities like Ottawa and Edmonton, following the what is being done in Copenhagen, which is to have year-round patios. I know it sounds impossible, but I think it is possible now. Certainly they've been very successful in Copenhagen, and their winters are just as tough as ours. You know, the sun comes up at 10 o'clock in the morning in Copenhagen in the wintertime and goes down at like 2 or 2:30, so not very much daylight, and they have the really strong winds coming off of the North Sea. So one of the things that we wanted to at least explore with the city is the possibility of having a patio, of operating it year-round, having it tented like you can see here. And something else that we think is really important is winterizing it by screening it, not with physical structures, but with dwarf evergreens, because the best way to windproof anything is just to grow a little forest around it. You can imagine if you had Christmas lights around it, it would be pretty special. And you could have, as you see here in the previous slide, which I didn't really spend much time on, and you would have some kind of, heating system. We're actually thinking in Ottawa about legalizing, at least for this winter, chimeneas. You can see one here, wood burning stoves, or you could have natural gas or propane as well, heater. So you might be able to actually run these things year round, and it would really animate the city, animate the town, and really help if there's a little cafe there or whatever use is there, really help make sure that there's life on that street. So those are the kind of ideas that we have, and we would like to get some feedback.
Okay, so in terms of, let's go for the third story. So micro suites, 6 micro suites, document them, make sure that so you can prove that they're existing. As long as they meet the building code, that's what, you're good to go. And then in terms of if those are suites, so everything here too, it should say discussion with is how you plan to redevelop it, is probably related to whether or not you need parking spaces or cash in lieu, but don't sweat out that because we probably have the lowest cash in lieu fees for parking spaces you've ever encountered. I don't even know if they're $2,000.
Seems like 1,000.
It's like 1,000 maybe, or 15. Don't quote me on that. You have a recording.
Well,
So
listen,
anyways, but if you have the 6,
I really like you guys.
so if you have the micro suites, there's 6 of them, document that they're existing. Maybe you can have a good bit of a discussion. If that's what you're doing, just for documentation, maybe we can have the building, our CBO, stop by at some point in time just to verify. So as long as those are existing, wouldn't require cash in lieu at all because they're kind of legally established. In terms of the second floor, 30 apartments, like no problem to have 3 apartments, again, as long as they meet building code. We'd probably do a calculation in terms of converting it from commercial to residential. My guess is you probably won't need any additional parking, but we'll still have to run through the calculations through the zoning bylaw. In terms of ground floor commercial, again, it's a use that's already there, so it's not like we're going to require more use. I guess the back area kind of determine what that, if that was sort of a warehouse unit sort of thing, so there might be a little bit of cash in lieu. I don't think it would be too much because if you're converting it to retail, but we can cross that. Again, it's none of those cash in lieu fees are anything to scare anybody. It's not like you're going to pay $20,000 a space or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you guys what this building will cost to renovate. So $1,000, it's a lot. $1,000 cash in lieu, maybe we can afford that in the budget.
Yeah. So, and again, just something to look at. I don't necessarily, my gut is you really probably won't need that, but to sort of provide cash in lieu, but you never. That's why too, with your survey, it's probably important to make sure your survey and where you can identify how many parking spaces that are currently existing on your property. That's probably going to be a big part of it. In terms of live work, so traditionally we haven't allowed for residential on the first floor. We are introducing our updated official plan, and there's some provisions where if it's a very large space, there can be a certain percentage of the property to be used for residential on the ground floor. Again, that's something that we haven't implemented zoning for yet or anything, but that would be something that
And not fronting on the main.
yeah, and it basically it can't be at the front of the
Yeah.
building. It'd have to be at
No,
the
no, it
rear
wouldn't
of
be at the front of the building, but Stephen, I like the sound of that. I think that's a really good change because, you know, the China Gate restaurant was quite big as these things go. And you know, like if we put a little cafe in here, it's going to be small. Like I'm talking,
Yeah.
you know, 850 square feet, about probably about 80 square meters. And you know, there just isn't demand right now. I mean, obviously, if you have a medical clinic, that's a little bit different. But you know, the retail thing is really suffering, and I don't have to tell you the office space. I mean, that second floor, you know, it'll. I mean, Dawn saw a calendar. I think, was it on the second floor or the third floor, Dawn?
No, it was on the third floor.
Yeah, but Dawn saw a calendar there. What year was it? 1998, Dawn?
It was either 89 or 98. I can't remember
So
which.
I think it's been a long time since this building has been occupied, but you know, office space on the second floor, I think would be empty for a very long time.
Yeah, essentially there's less space, commercial space in the city, definitely, but you never know. But anyways, but there is definitely a need for residential as well, so that's not an issue with us. But live work, so when you get to that stage, we could sit down and talk about that as well, because there'd have to be a rezoning part of that component to that. Again, rezoning
When will your new
applications.
official plan be implemented?
Well, it is, we are going to post that online, I think Monday or Tuesday, the draft. It has to be reviewed by the ministry as well, but we'll be looking at that. So you probably can go online. Actually, Desta's just actually got I'm staying here with you, but Desta's got to kind of scoot out, but to another meeting, but she can tell Aaron to make sure you're included on the interested parties list, so
Yeah.
you'll get email notification when it
Yeah.
gets posted.
Thank you.
I can do that, Bruce.
And-
Sorry to have to leave leave a little prematurely, but if you could send me the your presentation with the slide showing the proposal, that would be great for my records.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, and you'll also get. I download these videos to my computer, then I upload them to YouTube unlisted. So the only people who will have the link will be you guys, and me. You're welcome to share the link with anybody within your shop, but it's not public.
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
And
Bruce.
just one more thing, just before you leave. Again, thank you for making time for us today. We have been getting calls from the media, local media. We are not going to mention anything about this, number one, until we close on it on September 30th. And number two, we do want to brief at least one of the counselors, because I just don't want them to be surprised by this project, you know, hear about it in the media and they haven't heard it from us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that sounds good. In terms of okay, so I'm going back down the list. So there will be some general provisions in the OP talking about ground floor residential at the rear of these types of properties. In terms of cafe patio, your best bet is to have that discussion with, so obviously you can apply for an encroachment agreement related to your own property for a patio in the traditional sense. That's no problem. Actually, that's done through application to the engineering our department, but and we'll have some, hopefully developing some guidelines as well over the winter. But in terms of what you're talking about is winter patios, etc. That's probably going to be something you talk to Mary Jo about as BIA, because that would be a bit of a change from what the city currently does. Not to say that not to say that you would or wouldn't be able to do that, but I think it's got to be sort of it would be have more feet if you approached or proposed that through the BIA.
That's a really good strategy. We will make sure that we do that. Stephen, which counselor, you know, like in Ottawa, each counselor has a ward. I don't think that's the system in Belleville. But is there one counselor that we could brief, just again, so that they're not surprised, you know, about the project? Is there somebody we should talk to?
There's not anyone specific for like there's basically a ward, there's two wards. There's sort of the urban area and the Thurlow area, or the Belleville ward, the Thurlow ward. So there wouldn't necessarily be a specific person, but I think all the counselors would be supportive of your project for sure. So they want,
Is there one that we should reach out to and brief? You know, again, I know I've been through the political wars more than once, and I just would like to at least brief one of them. Is there one that you think, oh, really, you should tell her or him?
I mean, if you like, you know, obviously the mayor's always happy to see good news. You could provide him some information, or you could provide me some information and I could forward it to council. Maybe that might be a way of doing it.
I don't want it to be public just yet.
Okay.
So what I'll do, I mean, I'm going to send you and Desta the few slides I showed, and you know, and I'll give you, of course, a copy of this video. But I really was hoping not to make it public.
Yeah.
We own the building and we've had a chance.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we should try and brief the mayor. I'll reach out to the mayor.
Sure. And again, like, absolutely nothing controversial in what you're suggesting.
No,
so
I understand that, but I just want to make sure, look, we're new to Belleville. I don't want to step on everybody's toes. And, you know, my wife has known me to do that once or twice, and she's told me, you know, over many years now to not do that. And she's right, of course. So obviously we're briefing you, and we briefed Desta. We'll brief the mayor, and then after we close on September 30th, I did promise the local radio station that we would talk to them as well. I don't know why they want to talk about this, but I'm happy to do that, but only after we close and after we have obviously briefed you guys and then the mayor.
Well, one of the counselors, Sean Kelly, is a DJ on one of the radio stations. Maybe it's him. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was Sean, actually.
Was it? Okay, he's probably heard about that. The other guy, Garnet Thompson, works, I don't know if he works full-time or part-time at the men's shop downtown here too. So,
well, that's
anyway,
great.
So you'll have lots of support. The other thing too is we're also working through a CIP program.
Yep.
Affordable rental housing and upgrades to the downtown. Obviously, it's been kind of, well, we were actually introducing a new CIP for affordable rental housing, updating the downtown CIP. We also have a brownfield CIP. We decided to be really ambitious and do all three at once and sort of put them under a same cover. We're hoping to have that soon as well. I'm just going to sort of turn my head towards Aaron. Can you put them on the CIP interested parties list? So you're on the you're going to be on the CIP list the interested parties list for the CIP. I'm just thinking in terms of.
So Don, just so you know what that is, CIP is Community Improvement Program, and that can be very helpful in Ottawa. Don, the CIP programs exist and are used. You know, for example, Montreal Road has a CIP in place, and it's helping a number of the developers on Montreal Road, you know, improve their properties.
So it's all subject to council approval and stuff. And, you know, at the very minimal, I'd assume the facade grant program would continue on. So in terms of your front facade or whatever, your storefronts, that might be helpful that way, those sorts of things. So anyway, so those
what kind of funding is available for the facade improvement?
It's been a while since I've read the draft. It went back to the consultants. I cannot off the top of my mind remember it.
Well, I hope it's $1 million.
Yeah. Bare naked ladies. If I had $1 million.
Yeah.
Anyways, I honestly can't remember the elements of the program, but as soon as it's released, we'll
That'll
have
be
an
very
interested
helpful.
parties.
No
And it
question.
might come
Thank you for
into,
that.
especially for your micro suites, by definition, they might apply. It'll be at or below affordable rental. I'm just forgetting how it applies in the downtown area sort of idea. But you can also provide comments if you follow, if you get,
We'll definitely do that.
Well.
But I think Andrew Chan mentioned that to us as well, that the micro suites probably will fall within the affordable housing support recommendation. So I suspect that will be the case, and so that's very helpful, and certainly a SIP program that helps us with some sort of brownfield or facade improvement. Those may not be, Dawn, they may not be huge numbers, but they can be quite meaningful in terms of tipping the balance of a project, whether it's economic or not.
Yeah. So in terms of the facade, you could talk to Thomas Deming. I don't know if you do, you might have, it's getting short in the season, but you may get if you did have some sketches planned out already and some costing from contractors, you might squeeze in. You could talk to him about that anyways for this year.
What's Thomas's last name?
Deming, D-E-M-I-N-G.
Yeah, I know that name. Okay, that's very helpful. Well, we're actually coming to Belleville with our group on the 22nd, so in a couple of weeks or a little less, in 12 days, and those are very helpful points. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So Thomas Deming. Thomas
Mhm.
Deming, we're going to talk to Thomas. We'll talk to the mayor. We're on the SIP list, which is great. We have to talk to a few other people I think you recommended. I've got good notes here. Stephen, is it, oh shoot. Sorry, hang on a second. Yes.
My computer just.
Oh, your computer's crashed?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. Dawn's computer just crashed, Stephen. So now we have to share. We have to pretend we like each other now.
All right, Bert.
So come and pull up a little. So Stephen, is it okay if we get stuck on anything, if I reach out to you by email, or can you if we're stuck somewhere, can we kind of reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me, and if anyone is better suited to respond, or I might not have time to respond right away, but I can always get someone else to respond to you, okay?
Yeah, because you're the director of engineering, you'll know where all the bodies are buried, and you'll know the right people to go to. You've given us a lot of help already, and really, really helpful. Dawn, did you have any last questions for Stephen?
No, I don't think I do.
That was really, I found this very helpful, Stephen. I
Okay.
appreciate the time today, and I guess you guys struggled a little bit to get on Zoom, but here we are.
All right, and I'm right now fixing up a bachelor apartment, but I'm going to call it a micro suite when I put it out for rent.
There you go. I'm telling you, Stephen, you will get a line of people. It is the single hottest product not just in Belleville or Ottawa or Toronto, right across the world. The micro suite is the single hottest real estate product, on the planet, because, as I said, roommates are always arguing. But when you have your own little studio, as you saw the micro suite that I showed, if the bathroom needs cleaning, there's nobody else but you to do it, right? And if there's no more pizza in the fridge, you know who ate it, right?
I'll put it on the ad, Port Hope's first micro suite.
Oh, that's awesome. I think you should, because that will really, and in a more serious vein too, it becomes more affordable. And also, if you're a personal support worker, or you're working in the ER, or you're working in the intensive care unit, obviously, if Stephen, you and I were, roommates, and Dawn was, working as a doctor in the ICU, you know, that puts us at risk for the, you know, for COVID-19. So people are really cognizant of having their own private space. So how big is your micro suite?
Yeah.
How big is it?
It's probably 450 to 500.
Yeah, well, that's a nice size. That's a good size. And by the way, the University of British Columbia has been building micro suites because they came to the same. This is even before the pandemic. They came to the same conclusion about roommates. So all of their student housing now is micro suites, and their micro suites. Are you ready? You're sitting down. Their micro suites are so small. They don't call them micro suites. They don't use this term. They call them nano suites.
Nano suites, oh yeah, nice.
You know, nano's even smaller than micro, right? So
Yeah.
micro suite is a cool term. Nano suite, believe it or not, the UBC nano suites are 145 square feet.
Wow, crazy.
And they have, you know, they have a bed that folds up and becomes a desk. They have a, you know, bed that folds down and becomes, I mean, a desk that folds, whatever. And the desk becomes a bed. The bed becomes a desk, and they have a bathroom in there, not very big, but a full bathroom, and they have a kitchen as well.
Yeah, wow, wild.
Yeah, 145 square feet, but that is too small. I think the ones that we're talking about are a little bit smaller than the one that you're building. It's about 400 square feet. Yours is a little bit bigger, but that's an awesome size. 350 to 450 square feet is a great size.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, no, it sounds exciting, and I'm looking forward to. I'm happy you're purchasing the property, and you're going to be retrofitting it to bring new life to it. So
yeah, I think we'll have a fine building. We think it'll take a full year though to renovate. It's not. This is.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of work, and if Don's right, and it hasn't been occupied in 20 years, can you imagine, right? Like, we were inside the building, the amount of stuff in the building. They've got chairs and tables and all kinds of, you know, just garbage in the building. It's just our first priority is to remove all the garbage. That's going to take days, maybe even a couple of weeks or 3 weeks to remove everything. Then we have to do some structural reinforcements. We have to put the electricity back and the water back on. So a lot of work to just to get to the point where we can do the as-bills and come you guys with a plan and get a building permit. And then of course we have to build it out. So it's going to be a full year, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe some of the things you want to look at initially, even if it's just for a temporary basis, is maybe some security lighting at night, especially in that foyer, and maybe set up some video cameras just in case people are being trying to utilize your property sort of more than they should have. But
yeah, I get that. Well, we would like to put some you know, some temporary lighting and just basically LED lamps and DC power.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our marching orders. Stephen,
all right, sounds great. Thanks. Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks very much.
Okay, take care, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.